we are now recording for an undescript, undefined episode of Roll for Mastery.
You
Roll
don't
for
know the number
Mastery,
anymore?
actually, let me even roll that back. So, DMs Through the Ages is a YouTube channel that Julie and I created. The playlist is Roll for Mastery.
Yeah.
We DM first edition, and she DMs fifth edition, and that's our DMs through the ages. Not so much the editions, but I have a generation, maybe a generation and a half on her. So that's our DMs through the ages. And we created the Roll for Mastery playlists as she and I get together every week or two and we talk about DMing stuff for D&D. Some of it's kind of agnostic, but. And then I created a separate playlist called Always Level 1. And that's when I'll sit down and have a chat with someone from the player side of the screen and various topics and just kind of get the player's perspective of things. So today we have a one of my players, Erika, who's on the bottom of your screen, and she also DMs as well. So she plays in my first edition game and DMs fifth edition, almost like it's her job. Sort of is though in a way, and we'll get to that. And Julie DMs Friday nights, 5th edition, and she plays in a different 1E game that I run as well. So, ladies, I'm going to come top left here at my screen, so I'll reach out to Julie first to introduce herself to anyone who may actually be watching this in the future.
That's great. I just got a coworker. I told a coworker our channel, so I was very embarrassed, but she's gonna listen to our YouTube channel. So my name is Julie. I am the fifth edition semi-professional because I still don't know all the rules to fifth edition. And
Oh, no
I've
one
been
does. Oh, by the way,
right,
that's not the definer of whether or not you're a professional DM is whether or not you have all of the
exactly.
rules memorized. I
I've
hope
been
not anyway.
DMing for probably like two and a half, probably close to 3 years. And I play at our local game store in Ashland, Virginia. I do Friday nights. I did a bunch of one shots. I did Fridays and Saturdays for a time. And I do a at home. I just started Icewind Dale at home with my
Oh,
stepson and
cool.
his teenager friend. So I have a group of teenagers at home now that I am DMing for as well. But I like to think I'm okay, decent enough of a dungeon master to talk topics of dungeon mastery. And Keith said he wanted to. We would talk about just our generalized styles, and then Keith was like, "You want to record it for posterity?" And I was like, "Sure." And he was like, "Is it a podcast?" And I was like, "Sure." And so now it's a podcast. And now
Some things are
every
interesting.
yeah, a little bit. Every couple of weeks, we decide to record or not record. And usually we do like 2 episodes, and then we skip a week, and then we do another 2 episodes and skip a week. We've been kind of bad because Keith has been on vacation, but
That's
hopefully we
true.
can get back on track.
Okay, so we've all been bad. That's good.
Yeah, and then I guess that's it for me. I will turn it to our guest appearance, our guest judge.
All
I
right,
won't judge too
all right,
harshly.
Erika, what say you?
I'm Erika Martin. I'm owner of Elder Martin Publishing, LLC, which is my kind of new this year creator space for D&D. I also volunteer heavily in the D&D community locally in San Diego. I do one shot that is usually part of the Women's Ladies of D&D San Diego Association. They're awesome. They're a phenomenal group. They started last year and already have like 800 members. Every single event they hold monthly uh, sells out. It's a very safe, creative space for women who have had bad experiences at mixed tables or are nervous about
Mm.
trying things.
Mm.
So we do a lot of different level and different experience level play for the community. I'm also a DM for West Coast Adventure Guild, which is the guild that hosts the DM games at many of the major West Coast conventions. They have San Diego Comic Con, they have Dice Tower West in Vegas, WonderCon in Anaheim, and the Comic Con cruise, which is on its second year this year. Um, Love that group, phenomenal group. I'm also part of the Writers Guild, so I write the games that they do
Oh,
at the con. actually haven't technically written any yet. They just announced my being added to the team in September. So that was last month. That was a huge deal. It was really exciting. I do have some illustrations coming out in one next month. In a module that's going to be out next month. So I do some illustrations, I do some writing, I do some creator tools. I make game mats that have all of the rules for the
Oh
game so that you
yeah,
can get
that's
rid of
right.
the DM screen. I do a lot
It
in the
is.
creator space.
There's your
um,
shameless plug.
Yeah.
yeah, right.
There's the plug.
Uh, oh yeah, this was
Oh
just something
no.
that
No,
came
okay.
out of
Listen,
like,
but it's okay if it's blurry too, because then that means they need to go to your website
yeah,
to see what's really on it.
It's
that's true.
censored.
I like it.
And it comes in two different
So yeah,
sizes. This is the small mat.
yeah.
She has a much
There's
bigger
a big
one,
boy
and the
table
bigger
mat.
one, as I
Mhm.
learned, is not just bigger like in print. It actually has more content. So it's not just physically bigger; it has more
Oh,
content,
cool.
and it's for both
Yeah.
fifth edition 2014 and fifth edition 2024. She has a DM's version and a player's version, and she's working on class-specific mats as well.
I am. I'm going to be at Mysticon in 2 weeks. I'll have a vendor booth there with the Goblin Guilds, which is another organization that I'm on the board of, which is an organization that brings D&D into young people's lives, teenagers, young adults, especially those who are neurodivergent, have communication issues, developmental issues. I know there was a lot of young people who struggled during COVID and really didn't get access to communicating with their peers during that period of time. And they're seeing that there's actually a lot of benefits to playing D&D and other tabletop games with your friends. So yeah, that's a very long form introduction
Well,
of
you
who
say
Erika
long
Martin
form,
is.
but there was a lot to fill. There was a lot to fill out that form. So, Julie, I
I love
asked
this
Erica
game
not
and
that
I do
long
a lot
ago.
with it.
I said, "Holy crap, Erica!" 'Cause I'm familiar with a couple of these credentials are new to me, but I'm familiar with most of her background and what she does. And then on top of this, of course, she does work 40, 50-ish hours a week, and
As a professional job
correct.
And
with
yeah,
that
That's her
particular
mindful.
real
job.
job, right? That's her real job. And as you know, as I've shared with you recently, Julie, she prints all these minis and she takes the time to so intricately paint them. So hours upon hours there. I don't know how she has
Yeah.
time
He showed
to
me some
eat,
of them.
sleep, or pee, but she does.
Do you only have a resin printer?
I only have a resin printer.
Have you thought
Yeah.
about a filament?
So I started with a filament. I couldn't, but this was a while ago before the self-leveling filaments, pre-bamboo A1. And then right. And then
I had an
I got
Ender
so
3, so
frustrated
I
with it.
feel ya.
Yeah, I got
Yes.
so frustrated with it. And I was like, I'm not ever going to get what I want out of this. Sold it and then fell in love with the Elegoo resin printers, which are
I
so
have a Mars
affordable and
4.
so easy. The Mars, I love the Mars vibe. The Saturn's awesome. I don't have that one, but my friend does.
Mm.
It's excellent. Um, yeah, I love the 3D printing. I love being able to, my last game, what the best part was is whenever I have one of the ladies of D&D events, I want them to be excited about the games and I want them to walk away from my table going, that was
Wow.
excellent.
Yeah.
I didn't know that that was what D&D was. I didn't real, I want them to have something they remember. So I
Hmm.
try to print them so that they have them to take home. And this
Oh,
last one was a
nice.
Halloween one, and I asked them what their fears were and I made printed out their minis, and then I printed out a scary version of their characters. So like if they had said spiders, I'd made like a warrior, but then I'd done one where I chopped the top of the warrior off and put like spider legs on it and made like a you're your spider person now. So it
Neener,
lets you
neener.
get creative and do all that sort of stuff. My games are pretty I like them to be immersive because
Yeah.
I can
What's the point?
there's
No, I'm kidding. I was
fabulous
only
storytellers.
Yeah, I was only asking because you did some terrain in resin, and I had wondered if you had looked at. I had an Ender 3, and I was also very frustrated with my Ender 3. So this past year, with my tax return money, I got a P1S. Uh,
Nice.
yeah, P1S, the enclosed one. The P1P is
Mhm.
the open one. And I couldn't be happier with it. It has not failed me once. I mean, and it does
Nice.
if I make it do something really tiny and stupid, but that's my fault because I'm making a
That
giant printer do something tiny
you're
at Mach
testing the
10.
limits.
Yeah, correct. um, but for terrain purposes, I love my filament printer. Printing carriages or trees or bushes or buildings, entire buildings, in the matter of hours is just so cool. I
Oh yeah,
love
it takes
making something
me
from
like
nothing.
20 hours. It takes
Oh, to
forever
resin
for
print
me to
it.
print the big pieces. Yeah, and
Yeah,
they use a
all the
ton of
supports.
resin too.
Yes. And that's why I was like, oh, maybe she should look at a filament printer. It's cheaper.
I will when I get
Yeah.
there. It's more, I have a condo in San Diego with like, 900 square feet. So
Oh,
there's
wow.
something we
Oh, what
are
you're in right now.
working with what we have. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's bigger. So I don't have a garage or anything like that where I can set up like a whole like printing space one day.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
not that this is a consolation, but I can relate to your square footage because when I was last a bachelor before I got married, I had a two-bedroom townhouse at like, I don't know, 950 square feet. And then I moved in with my wife and her two kids into 940 square feet.
That's bad. That's
So
bad.
I went from by myself at 950 to four of us in 940. So
Hmm.
I understand the small space, and it's always been a challenge here
Hmm.
for me because, like you said, you start if you have a hobby that involves something tangible that takes up space, and you need your crafting stuff to do that, and there's only so much room to do it.
Tile,
So
the
it's just
shame
I'm in
it's
my
tile
hard.
right
closet right
here.
now.
you know, and it makes
My
me
husband hates it. Like this is my terrain, like maps and stuff like that. He's like, it's just in a box. I'm like,
And it
where else
it
am I gonna
makes me
put it?
think of Rin, one of the women we play with on Sunday night, who's a lopper, and she's got like crates almost
Yeah,
of all her lopping clothes and gear,
like life
and her
size.
little apartment. I'm saying little, but her little apartment, and it takes up a good reasonable portion of that. So hobbies take space, but um, so let me take a second for those who might actually be interested to introduce myself. So I did a little bit earlier, but
Oh, I'm
that's
sorry. Yeah,
okay.
you did the intro.
Yeah, that's okay.
He did.
So I first started playing D&D when I was about 12, 10, 12. And I started playing first edition, and that's because that was the only edition.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of tells you that I'm that old. Um, so I started with first edition, and I started because my older brother, who's 8 years my senior, was playing with his buddy, and they would play downstairs in the basement on top of the pool table, and I would kind of like sneak down, so that, like halfway down the stairs, and I'd just sit there and I'd watch them. And I'd watch them and I'd listen and I'd watch
Oh,
because 8 years, like I wasn't allowed to play, I couldn't play with them, so I just watched, and it enthralled me enough. So I kind of give the credit, I guess, to the DM to kind of make it interesting enough that it held my attention. I would watch, and then from there, I was like, well, I want to play, and I had no friggin' idea about anything. So I got a buddy of mine who was about the same age, and we were going to play. No
heck yeah.
idea. So like I drew out a map, filled this room with like 20 dragons in one room, and he has a character and he goes in. It's like, "Oh, you sure you want to fight them?" Because I didn't know what to do if he wanted to fight him. So yeah, obviously that didn't last very long, right? So finally,
20 dragons.
so
They probably had a great time.
so my brother's DM, his friend, was nice enough, cordial enough to DM for me, and we played one and
Oh,
one DM, one player, which is a foreign concept to
Oh,
anyone who plays now. But we did for all summer, and then past that, and I went through, I don't know, half a dozen, six, seven, eight modules with him, and got my 1E character up to my whole party up to level 6 ish. And I managed all six characters, and I had a great time with it. And
wow.
that held me. And then of course I got older, high school and on to college, and and couldn't really, no one was really interested in playing, and so that kind of fell to the wayside for quite some time. And then a few years back, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years back, I got bit again. I'm not sure how, and I said, like I
Did,
want to play.
is that when 3.5 came? No, 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 no. This would be 2014.
four.
yeah, around 2014 ish. Um, or it would have been
That's
2014 to 5Es when my
that's kind of
interest
when
kind
it
of
all kind of
kind of
reignited,
resparked, right?
right?
But
There were a couple of
well, actually,
moments.
I don't know, do the timeline. It was before COVID, so I guess that's longer than 5 years.
Yeah,
Stranger Things.
5E would be
So
out. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So anyway, but
Stranger Things.
but
Stranger Things.
never seen an
which I still
episode.
haven't seen.
But I didn't give a shit about
Yeah.
5E. I
Really?
didn't really know about 5E. I knew 1E because that's what I
Right.
knew, right? So I hopped online, bought a couple, repurchased a couple of books on eBay after I sold them years ago. Got my Player's Handbook back, my DMG, my Monster Manual, and then I had the books, and I still had no one to play with. So
Sad.
kind of
Oh,
went on the shelf for
me
a little
too.
bit. I would thumb through once in a while and put it back on the shelf, and thumb through and put it back on the shelf. And
Force your family to play.
after a couple of years of kind of inquiring with my wife and my brother and sister-in-law, my sister-in-law was the holdout, and she finally gave in. Said, "Okay, all right, I'll try it." I was so excited. I was so excited. So,
Yes!
all right, Danny, you can DM, right? She's like, "Well, I guess I can, but I'm not really." All right, fine, I'll DM. So that's how I had to play. That's what I had to do in order to play. I had to wait
Me
decades,
too.
and I had
I
to
had to do the
DM.
DM.
And
Yeah, and I
we started in
suck
person.
at it.
We started with in-person play, but they are 2 hours away. So it was once a month on
Oh,
a
God.
weekend, make like a long weekend. Someone stays over or what have you, and that lasted for a few months, and then we kind of switched over to Discord, and then it wasn't a strong enough interest or a high enough priority for some that we fell apart.
No.
So then I'm back to
Death
again
of
no
all.
one to play, but I
Age-old
have all my
story.
books, and I still have my original character sheets from when I was 12.
That's
So,
adorable. You should post
I
those on
truly do.
socials.
I truly do have all that, and I have all my notes from the modules
Same
and
thing.
everything. So,
You should do a video going through them. That would be precious.
DMs through the ages. So,
Yeah.
I still wanted to play.
DM.
I
Singular.
wanted to play, so I hop on, my age group. We hop on Facebook. That's where you find social
Mhm.
media. I don't use
And old
I
people.
have them, but I don't use Instagram or Twitter or Snapchat or any of that stuff. And I found like the Facebook Finder groups, and I said, "Well, shit, I guess I'm going to have to DM because that's what I've learned now in the past couple of years. If I want to play, I need to DM." So I started looking for players, and I'm going to run on Discord, and I don't know how to use Discord, and I don't have a VTT, and I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to wing it. We're going to figure it out, and
Many people are going to
I'll
be
kind of
great.
shorten my story at this point, and I now have
We're doing long
I have
form.
two Discord games, Tuesday night and no, Tuesday night and Sunday night, and
I was about to say.
I play in person on Friday nights. So my Sunday night game is the original game with one original
Mhm.
player remaining, and
Yes,
that has kind of morphed
not me.
into a group of all women players, and that was by choice of the players, and that's been by design. Tuesday night has organically been co-ed. We recently lost a player, but we substitute that we've been using here for the past several months is going to fill in as a permanent replacement. So we're kind of excited about that.
Yay.
And then of course my Friday night. So what I find interesting, Julie, is I run these two crappy games on Discord using friggin' Microsoft Paint and no VTTs, and Erica is friggin' blowing it up as the pro, semi-pro, DM, whatever, with all her fancy terrain and everything. And I'm like painting dots with Microsoft Paint to show them where they are.
She's
And I
making
think
her
it's
own
amazing.
modules and
No,
drawing her own pictures.
so there's reasons for this, and it's not because I'm any better at one or the other things. It's because I'm not great at certain things, and I know what things I'm good at. I am so much better at improving when I have created the story myself, and I know
Yeah.
what
Where you
elements
want
are
it to
built
go.
in and what not. And I don't want to not be able to improv well because I don't know the module well enough.
Oh, I hate
And
that.
that's,
And it comes and
yep,
bites you in the ass.
it does. And so
Yes.
I feel my footing being, on a stronger foundation when it's a story I made up on my own. I know I'm not going to mess it up. I'm not going to misquote it. I'm
Because you
not
can
going to do
change it
it
on the fly and no one will know.
So
exactly.
when I first spoke with Erica,
Not that
we
anyone would know
and it was
anyway.
via Discord, not Discord, via Facebook chat, right? somehow we made a connection on Facebook pertaining to D&D.
I was looking for a 1E
And
game.
she said, "Oh,
You
one
were
E, yeah,
actually
like
looking
that's
for
the
a
only
1E
edition
game.
I haven't played,
Mhm.
so I'm interested in playing. Oh yeah, and I wrote this book, da da da, da, and I would love it. I would love it to play for like my research." I'm like, "Whoa, hang on." I was like, "You want to play just for your research? You want to play for like 3 sessions and dip out? Because that's not going to work for me." I was like, "Girl, you got to be in it to win it." And no, no, she said, "No, no, no. Like I really want to play." I said, "All right, all right, we're going to give this a try." And here we
They
are,
did. They gave
whatever,
me a
6 months,
try.
9 months later, and
Heath
she's
responded to my
and she's
ad
still in it.
and then proceeded to try and add me an ad. He added my ad. He
So
did sit in and play 5E
I
for my
did.
little baby shot, but then he was like, "Hey,
Oh,
hey, how about Tuesday first edition?"
I
So
love it. I think it's so cool.
so what happened with that was, again, I was searching to play D&D. Like I wanted to play, and playing in
Mm.
person, as you ladies know, is different. For me, it's better, but it's very different than playing online. So I came across
Also sometimes
Julie's game that she
difficult.
was running, a few minutes up the road here at the game store, and it was Friday night, so it worked with my schedule. So I started chatting with Julie on Facebook, like, "Hey, tell me about this. Tell me about this game you're running." And she said, "Yada yada yada." I said, "Yeah, I'm 1E. I don't know any of the shit that you're talking about. I have no idea what you're talking about." She said, "All right, well, if you want to create a character, come on up, come on up and play." So I downloaded another PDF
Beginner
because
friendly.
I guess I didn't have all the PDFs yet. So I downloaded the PDF, I made a character, and I showed up and I played. And as you guys know, it's not the same. It's different.
No,
No.
yeah,
It
it's
is
not your
it's
your cup of tea
different.
either.
But I did okay, I think, with that because we were playing the Mines of Fandelver, and you
Which is
guys
Oh, that's
so
and you guys are already a
fun.
fun.
third or a
Yes.
half of the way into it. So like I was kind of okay with it. But for me to go into Strahd now, no way, man. That is bullshit. All it's like friggin' Critical Role. All you do is talk shit. No one rolls any dice. There's no combat. I'm like, what the fudge is? No, I'm like, no, I'm not. Nope, sorry.
There's
Like I
dice
tried it,
rolling.
Erica.
It's
I
just
tried it.
for
Like
bullshit.
our Friday night group
Persuasion
had like
check.
too many call outs, so I wasn't going to run a game.
Intimidation.
So me and this other guy said, okay, well we'll go and sit in on Julie's game. We'll play and just so we play D&D for the night, right? And we said, oh my God, we can never do this again. Not that Julie runs a bad game. It's not about that. It's that, holy cow, this is not my style. This is not for me. It's just
Mhm. There's so
different.
many different ways to play
Yeah.
this
So
game.
5e is more
Mine's 50-50.
narrative focused, right? It's all about the
Mine's less
story,
than
the
that.
story, the story. And 1e,
60-40.
while both 1e and 5e are still truly combat centric games, the bulk of the rules, even in 5e today, are mostly focused on combat and mechanics and things like that. But the modern player tends to focus more on the story, right? The
Which is
story.
20
I think
Okay.
critical
that's
role.
true
Now,
for 5e in campaigns. Yeah, I think it's heavily role played.
yeah.
I am generally playing one shots with my players for just funsies, right? Like these are, just feel good entertainment sessions. Those have, a decent amount, 50-50 of RP so that these people can, in a setting, see all the different range that exists in the game. But in the Adventure League setting, the Legends of Greyhawk setting, when you are playing 5e at a convention, that's a completely different, there's no room for role play in those games. These are people who've never met before. They're picking up their characters right there, cold. They've never played them before. Stats are already built. They're not role playing that. They barely know what their species is. They're just, looking at their stats. Those games, you also have to run to the letter of the rules, both in the module so that all of the players have the same experience, no matter if they're playing at San Diego Comic Con or they're playing at PAX West or PAX EU. They all have to have takeaways the same experience, otherwise, it's not fair. They have to have the same reward systems too. So there are systems where 5e is played that are pretty rules intensive and not role play heavy at all.
Well, and yeah, and for
I think it
for
depends on the
something
DM.
short term like a one shot, yeah, because I don't want to spend my half of my 3 or 4 hour, 5 hour block just bullshitting back and forth between characters, right? While that is one of the pillars of role playing games, that's the more traditional role play, what we think of role play. But like you want to get into the action, you want to like play the game. So I get it, but
Oh yeah, you start getting antsy after a
and
while.
for a long-term campaign,
Want to stab?
certain modules or certain campaigns,
I want to stab.
are going to be organically heavy towards one or the other. Like Strahd is very heavy towards the social side of things, right? Um,
I think it's still 50-50 because on the road it's all combat. There's no social
Yeah.
interaction.
It depends on how long you spend doing the political maneuvering, right? In
Yeah.
Strahd.
So my players are in Vallaki right now. They're in the major political powerhouse struggle right now. They're playing politics right now. Correct. And
Yeah.
so it is all talkie unless they decide to fight the
I
guard.
am so impressed by DMs who can run long-term heavy RP campaigns. It is so much information that
Oh, so much.
is coming at you organically.
You
It's
don't
not
know.
coming out of the book. You
Nope.
have to keep, all of this track. I'm a one-shot girl. When it comes to, I love playing in campaigns. I love playing in campaigns. I want to sink into a juicy character. And sorry, Keith, I will RP all day long in those shoes. I love it. Love it.
Yeah, it's fun.
Let me be
Especially if you
something
have
powerful. Let me be something
good
magical. I just want to
synergy
be it.
at the table and all of the
Oh
players
yeah.
at the table know each other and are comfortable with each other. My
And
table
they're
will just,
vibing,
yeah, I don't have to say something sometimes. They just role play with each
right?
yeah,
other.
Julie's
I
group is
love
they
that.
love the social aspect, and they're pretty, at the very least they're decent at it, if not good at it, as a group, to the point where she can walk out of the room probably for 15, 20 minutes, walk back, and the characters are still talking
Gavin,
amongst themselves.
Well, it
jiving.
definitely adds this layer of, well, why do I want to save that stupid monk from the bugbear, right? Like, why do I give a crap? They're my teammate, sure. I'll get more gold, or I could solo it, get the XP myself. You want to care, right? Like, you got to give
Force them
enough
to care.
RP so that, your friends care about you. I think, though,
Got
that we
one.
RP a little bit in 1E too.
Oh, absolutely. But I will
I
say,
push for it.
but I will say, yeah,
Yeah, I do.
Julie pushes for it.
Probably
So
because
I
I'm
will say, like in our Sunday night group with the ladies, Erica is of the
Is
four.
she the one who flirts with the
No, 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 no,
guy?
no,
no.
no, no.
Oh,
That's Cassie, who her or Cassie's character is the one who
I
flirts with
love it.
the shopkeeper.
oh,
Um,
it's not her. It's her character. She just plays her character.
correct.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
that makes more sense.
Cassie, I can't even think. What was the character's name? Libra.
Libra.
The character's Libra, played by Cassie. And it all started very innocently by a little hair twirl at the shop, trying to be a little flirtatious to get a
Maybe
better
I can get a
price, and it
discount.
has just evolved from there to
It's
full
because the
on
dice
flirtation.
rolled in her favor. So it started becoming this like, oh, well, this way tends to work.
I might as well
When you
do it
have a
then.
high,
Yeah.
you have a high charisma score, you start to learn how to use it, right?
I have a 15.
But it is fully, yeah, it's become a whole little side nook, if you will, of our campaign. But
If
on the
Keith would have
social
let
aspect,
me be
so
a bard, I would have.
on on our Sunday group, Erica, I think, is the most interested in the social aspect. Cassie is when she's in town and has that opportunity to flirt for that better price. And Rin, I think, is
Subjective.
probably the most balanced, but she leans a little bit towards the social aspect. And Marisha, man, she wants to fight shit.
She wants to slaughter.
Yeah, she does. Like
Oh,
she
Zachary
doesn't
loves the
understand
slaughter.
like why we have to talk so much. Come
Why are we
on, let's
taking
just go
so
do it.
long?
Let's just like stop bullshitting, wasting our time. Let's go kill shit.
And that's why she's the original player, right? So she's the one who's been in the story since the beginning.
Yep.
And she's a full level beyond us, not only because she's the original player, but because
She probably
she's
fights
just
more.
that much more aggressive
Yeah, she digs
than
in.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's resting on
You
Tuesday.
can,
and Erica's character is kind of like, okay, I'll kind of be here in the middle, or maybe even fade like Homer Simpson to the bushes, and you don't see me anymore. And if you need me, you call me.
yeah,
You know,
well, she's a thief too, and she's so squishy.
I'm a distance. I'm a distance. Chandrell's definitely my character on Tuesday is a distance. Now that I have
What's
Tolan,
her
Tolan
name?
is a my character is a druid named Chandrell, which is very funny
Ooh,
because it's almost a mushroom, a
that's
chanterelle.
what I was gonna say. It sounds like a
Yes,
mushroom.
I'm a druid with a mushroom name. So I'm a little baby druid, and uh, my charisma is really high, so I'm also the role player of the group. But I also have Tolan, which is my secondary character, and he's a little gnome illusionist thief. So he's like,
Hmm.
"Nah, dog, I'm back here. I don't know what you're talking about."
That's what I am. I'm an illusionist thief,
Yeah,
multi-class,
he's
and
a
it
little
is
grumpy man.
it's scary.
But now, Erica and Julie and I
I did love
have
romance.
started to talk about this a little bit, but
He's scary.
you're talking about, well, you didn't say theater of the mind, but theater of the mind and being able to improv and like truly, genuinely role play that as the
Storytelling.
DM for a long term campaign.
Yeah.
And you said, man, I do well at the one shots because I kind of created that, or I've really worked that one shot. I'm familiar with it. You can run it, you can improv it, not a
Hmm.
problem. But what I will say is that a 5e campaign is a friggin' book, right?
It
And
is.
With
everything is
hold
laid
on,
out
wait,
for
I'll be
you.
right back. Hold on, wait.
Their
Ah,
personalities, the NPC's personality, their motives, their drive, their family background, their blood type. I mean, everything is there, right?
that's what's
1e,
so scary about
well,
it.
that's where I'm going with this. 1e, it's like 30 pages, 35 maybe. That's it.
Hmm.
There's no real development there in like 5e has. So, case in point, on Sunday night, I run the game of The Keep on the Borderlands, the classic, true classic, written by Gary Gygax himself. The Keep on the Borderlands, an introductory module for both players and DMs to the game. Now, I will tell you, Erica, that nowhere in that module is there. I don't think there's a single character name, NPC name, not a single one,
No, I think you mentioned that. There's
right?
no like, weren't we trying to figure
You've
out
had to
what
make
world it's in?
Saltmarsh.
What are you trying to figure out, Erica?
What world we were in?
Well, yeah. So there you go. So there's a 5e module. So
Yeah.
so Julia, how many pages is that?
Icewind. Yeah.
How many
It
pages?
is too many. 320.
Holy shit. So
That's a big book. That's actually kind of a big book
Yeah.
for a module.
so in
Strahd's here's something. Strahd's I think 260 something.
so
And
in the
But Keith reprinted it, so I have a chunky one.
so in the Caves of Chaos, oh excuse me, the Keep on the Borderlands,
AD&D
there's not a single
is
NPC in the
125.
town that has a name. Therefore, there's no personalities that are defined. There's no motives defined for them. Nothing, right?
Mhm.
And this whole story arc that you guys are trying to figure out with people being kidnapped, an anti-paladin,
Over here.
the valley of the valley of the day rain. None of that's in the module either. That's been very organic for me
Oh,
as the DM
okay.
and organic for the party or for the players as well. Um, because some of that stuff comes off the cuff. It just kind of happens. Tuesday night, for example, we're finishing up the module against the cult of the reptile god. Okay,
Oh,
and
okay.
somewhere in there, or
Right.
well, they went into the local temple and combated the evil cleric that was in there. Defeated the evil cleric and started searching his quarters.
You have an infinite too?
As you naturally would, right? Search the quarters,
You
see what's
do?
there, and they came across his book. Now the module,
Mhm.
or the book was in the module, and it said, "Hey, there's these two lines that the party can discern." And then, but of course, I don't think it told me like the title of the book. And of course, just like every player says, "Oh, what's your name, Mr.
What's the name?
NPC?" They always
What's
ask the
the name?
friggin' names of every NPC, even though they're completely
Mhm.
insignificant and we'll never talk to them again. They want to know the character's name, so they want to know like the title of the book.
Be prepared.
I
Yeah.
said, I said, I don't know. It's XYZ, right? And now they've again very organic. I did not think of this ahead of time. I didn't define this
I'm
out.
so obsessed
So
with this fucking book.
so now
And now your characters know it's not that important because
well
you
well
No,
all get
no
to
no
play
oh no
them.
no no
no,
no
no.
no. Oh, but it
No?
is. But it is.
Were they not picking up what you were laying down?
No. So the book itself
We made him.
the book itself was not really imperative or have that groundbreaking significance for this one module. But this has now become the
Hmm.
overall story arc for this whole campaign. Okay, because this book is one of six. Okay, so there's a 6 volume series, and he who
Six
possesses all
pages of
six becomes immortal and godlike. So
more like
now, so
Goosebumps.
now they're on a quest to find these other 5 books, which don't exist anywhere but here. And now I need to find a home for them in the world, so they can try to find these other books.
We gave
That's
an old guy
bananas.
a book, and he was like, "Hey, this book's important," and we were like, "Tell us more." And Keith was like, "Shit."
No, see, I that's the setup that I actually prefer. I would prefer if my modules left a lot for the DM to riff on, because I would feel terrible if I were running off of the module, I told them one thing, and then later on it was inconsistent or something like that, because there is so
Happens
much
to me.
filled in already. So
Yes.
that when you do, you just kind of need the arc, right? Like the beats, you want to hit this, this, this. And then, like Keith mentioned, leave some room for adventure in the middle. Let stuff grow organically. Have a
You know,
list of names,
Yeah.
maybe on a post-it.
I wish I could play like that.
Okay.
I have no time
and
to
that
like
that's
prep
one of my
that way.
gripes with 5e modules is it they
This
don't
doesn't take any prep
is they take all the
to
DM
improv.
agency away. You know.
Yeah, it
Just
does
open
feel like
book.
that.
And Eric is not wrong in that, Julie. And this is something Julie and I.
I like it. I'm a busy
This was kind of
worker.
our first talking point with Julie, rolling the clock back a year and a half, whatever it is. I'm like, Julie, so how much did you prep for that session last night? She's like, prep? What's that? I was like, oh, okay, we need to talk a little bit, right?
I role played that entire thing. What do you
But
mean?
but you're right though, because 5e it does really lock you in, and it
Hmm.
takes away that agency from you. And that's not really where I was going with this, and I already lost it. But I will say though that what if you took a 1e classic 1e module, Erica, and from that you made a one shot out of it for you, where nothing's really defined, or I shouldn't say
Yeah, that would
nothing's
be
defined, but
awesome.
not defined in such intricacy.
Like, I like knowing
She's holding
magic
her
I have
breath.
fingers.
an idea. I have an idea. It's on the tip of my tongue.
Yes,
Continue.
yes. I was just going to say, I like having enough information that I know where I have to get my players in the end. In a one-shot situation, like where am I going with this? How are they going to get there? And what can I put in their way? And that's pretty much it.
Have
Goal,
you
what prevents them from getting there, and how they meet each other. And those are the three major beats.
Hmm.
And you just need to set up an environment, a really, really well written world, a really fleshed out world. It's like a sandbox, right? If you've
and they can
got
do
it
whatever
all
they
kind of
want.
dialed in, go ahead, have some fun. Have a list of people. It could be anything.
Literally anything.
But
Keith
yeah, I
has
think
a
that
list behind his DM screen.
Well, just
everyone should.
of
Oh my gosh.
names. Yeah, I on my
Yes,
DM
of
screen I
names.
just have a list of
Definitely.
names. Yeah.
Yes. Keith, have you
Anyway.
shown Erica those books that you and I have been really digging recently?
I don't think I've showed her.
No.
She's probably familiar with them. What are they called again?
No.
The Game Master's Guide to dot dot dot.
Yeah, maybe Game Master's Guides,
I don't know. Hang on.
where like the puzzles and traps, the NPC one.
Yes,
There's one for
I have the
villages.
encounter. I have
Okay.
the encounters.
Yep.
So there's an encounters one.
Hmm.
So Keith just bought a new one that is monsters and their minions and tactics. And in there,
Tactic.
Mm-hmm.
and
Tactics.
tactics,
Yes.
in there is like 9 million one shots. Because the boss, the main
Oh.
bad guy boss, the big bad, is each page, and it gives you a story hook to find the big bad. And so that's all you get is the little hook,
Because
the little hook,
yeah,
the big bad, and the demon, and the evil guy, the minions.
I think it's
And it has
intended.
real one shots in it too.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
like,
so
you
it actually
entire
it has
book.
2 or 3 actual one shots in it, as I think the whole series of books do.
Monsters and their minions.
Yeah,
I
I'll
think
grab it
it's
in a second and show you.
monsters,
And
minions, and
and it
tactics. It has
has
Medusa on the front of
a
it.
I need that.
dozen and a half of your big bad evil guys, right? So
Hmm.
I think, well, I haven't read the forward on the book. I think the intention is, if you want to swap out your big bad evil guy in your 400-page campaign that you have, you can. Or and here's a list of suggestions, right? Or
To use that
Yeah.
one
to
shot.
insert one of them as a secondary big bad
A mini
evil
boss.
guy, right? A mini boss,
Hmm.
or something to that effect. But being that it has like, I don't think what they call them. like a lead-in, possible
hook.
reasons that the
Yeah,
players can
the story
find
hook.
this guy or would want to, then you can make a one shot out of just based upon that, right? If you want to
Mhm.
flesh out, your little module here for a few hours, um, but I wanted it
I think
because,
it's great.
like, I need
So
for me, I wanted those ideas as to who the hell's going to hold the next book on Tuesday night for these six books that they now want to find, and they already gave one
just the
away but you have to have all six, you know.
we'll probably have to
So
mention the writer.
who's gonna hold the next one? So
I think that book. I was sitting there reading it on Friday because I got there early, and Keith's like, "Look at this thing," and I was like, and so I sat there and I read it, and it is so good. It has, like I said, it has like the lead in hooks. Like, how do your players find it? Here's the hook, and I think it gives a little
Oh,
background on the big bad evil guy, and then it just gives you like all the stat blocks and like what they do. And the back of the book has a bunch of tactics on all the little minions. Oh, here he is. Me too, Keith. Me too.
have you seen the new Dragon Delves book?
Uh, I
It,
think I think I know what you're talking about.
it's similar to that, only they're not single pages, but it's entirely all of the different dragon types, what it's like to battle them at their different ages, and then a story lead up to an encounter with each of them.
Oh, finding
It's
each one.
so cool.
That does
Highly
sound
suggest
really
Dragon.
cool.
Yep, those are the um
Keith, we can't hear you.
instant town and cities.
Which you need because one E doesn't give you shit.
Well, it depends
noted.
which
Well, they
one.
certainly don't even keep.
Traps,
We
puzzles, and
had to make.
dungeons.
I want that one so badly.
That one's good.
We had to
NPCs.
Encounters.
make whatchamacallit.
Don't have that one.
And then the last one is
Yeah,
the one that we're talking about: the villains, minions, and their
One
tactics.
tactics. Yeah, that one sounds great.
so cool.
So, okay, so
So cool.
what Julie was kind of tossing here in the background, her thought was, in the module Against the Cult of the Reptile God, which is a 1E module that we're finishing up here. It says yada yada yada. Here's a description of the town. Yeah, we didn't create the town for you, Mr. DM. So you could make it how you want to make it. But you should insert this kind of NPC and that kind of NPC. But have at it.
And that was it. It was just like a
Yeah,
paragraph. It was like,
yeah.
I need
there
a
you
little
go.
more than that. A map is nice. A map is really nice.
Well, no,
Yeah.
they did
I
give a map of the town. No, no, no. Hang
okay,
on.
okay,
Again,
there's
yeah,
a
yeah.
map.
Orlane. They give a map of
Yeah, they
Orlane.
did.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
but who's
okay.
in it?
Yeah.
None. None of that.
Well, you don't know the level of the game. You might be wanting to play with
Oh,
different level people or stuff like, but I need a map.
I'm right and I'm wrong. It's not Against the Cult of the Reptile God.
Saltmarsh.
It was Saltmarsh, Sinister Secret of Saltmarsh. That didn't have the town at all or the
Oh,
NPCs.
At all.
In
You
in
had to
uh,
make it, and
in
you
Against the
stole it
Cult
from
of the Reptile
5e.
God, that was defined out. The map was there. The characters were there. But
Keep on the Borderlands doesn't have names
no,
in
correct.
it,
That
I
has
don't
no
think.
names at all. Has no names at all. I think maybe there might be one or two in the entire module. That's it.
I just know that you told us that
Yeah,
while we were playing.
yeah. So you got to come up with
I
all that shit on your own, and that's where, in a sense, I think more prep is needed in 1E because oftentimes stuff like that is not there. And as we said
Oh,
earlier,
definitely.
you know darn well that every player is going to ask, "So, what is your name, sir?" Yeah, every time. Every time. So you got to have those names ready. And
hmm
what happens when you're not ready? Well, I'm not that good. So I'm like, Bob, you know,
Dot, dot.
or I very quickly recycle names, you know.
hmm
So, but
Same.
then as the DM, and I learned this the hard way, if it wasn't written down before we started, God, I got to write it down now because it's going to come up later, and they may or may
Yeah.
not remember. And if I remember over them, all the better.
But now Rustin, our note taker, writes it all down. So usually he just leans on our note taker.
Right. Well, that's because
What was that?
that's
Backup
because I've been
note
sucking
taker.
out lately. When I first started, after as soon as we finished, I would sit
It's a
down and
little.
I would take my notes in OneNote because that's what I use for that. I don't use Obsidian, and I would take my notes, and I would have all that there, and of course I can then do a keyword search and so on. And then when we said, okay, player Julie, you're the accountant. Player
Hmm.
Caleb, you're in charge of note taking, right? Well, once I did that, I was like, I don't need to take notes
Oh,
anymore.
just
And I was smooth
oh,
sailing, and it's come back to bite me.
The hard way. You've forgotten,
It
I think,
really
two
has.
names, like back to
It
back.
it really has. And
so
go ahead.
do you do most of your game prep electronically?
So
I don't.
it's
I have a worksheet.
I was gonna say, hear me out. It's been a while since I've done like true prep, and that's because
Hmm.
we've been playing Keep on the Borderlands long enough, and I'm familiar enough with it. Like I prepped far enough ahead, like halfway in, that I still get you guys covered for months. So I don't really need to do a lot with that
Right.
anymore. I just kind of
We also
I
don't get
thumb through
very
a few
far.
pages, I review a couple things, but not really prep anymore. And I would say the same thing with Tuesday night as well, but because we're at the tail end of that now,
Wrapping it
so
up.
I need to start thinking about
Yeah.
what we're going to play next. But no, I do prep, and because in my OneNote, I actually like the first block was things we need to review before we start, right?
Hmm.
And then I had my notes to myself. This is what I need to prep for. And then my third box was the post session note of what happened. And it was important for me to do that. And again, I've dropped the ball recently, or past several months. It's important for me to do that because my perspective as the DM is different than the players. And I'm more likely to jot down what I know to be important, right? Versus what
Hmm.
they may or may not take note on because they don't realize how important that book was, and that's why they gave it away.
I have a
Or that
worksheet.
it didn't exist.
I have a 6 question worksheet that I fill
Wait,
out.
that you have created the worksheet and then you
Yeah.
fill out your own worksheet?
Yeah.
Oh, what are the questions?
So Keith did
Six.
them.
There's 6 questions. Oh,
Keith
no,
gave
that's
them to me.
interesting. That's
Oh,
He's like,
interesting. Like
look at
hang on.
prep.
Are you talking
narrow
about
down.
the session notes, or the prep, Julie?
Prep.
Okay.
So I copy and pasted it because I gave it to another player who wants to start DMing, and he's also afraid of prep. So uh, it is as follows: weekly prep. Make sure to take notes, be prepared for combat, and have a stack block readily available and easy to access. And
Mhm.
yes, while the table is planning their attack, it is your time to do the same. Review your notes, stat blocks, index cards, spells, etc., etc. That's on the top of the worksheet. Question number 1. Review notes from last session. Period. Recap. Period. And I put like 4 or 5 lines so I can write some recap down really quick.
Yep.
And then question 2: try to get a feel of where the party will go and what they will do. Kind of what am I going to prep? And again,
Hmm.
I each section has a little paragraph that I can write in. Uh, question number 3. From that, you can anticipate encounters like social and combat. Exploration is the easiest, then social, and last combat. Combat needs the heaviest prep. And then I could like write down the different encounters that I think are going to happen. Um, question number 4 is exploration. Where are we going? Get a sense of where your players can go. Prep a little flavor, add a little spice, don't over season. And
Exploration takes so much more time to prep than combat.
um,
What?
mine is already like laid out for me, but that was Keith's like brief. And so sometimes I'll write like see page
I'm
this or
bad
see
at
page that, read flavor block this, read
exploration.
flavor block that. Um, and then 5 is encounters with NPCs, as in social. This is the social block. Who
Hmm.
or why, how is the party going to interact with them? What does the NPC have to offer to the game or the party?
Oh,
And
that's a
then
good one.
Keith and I still need to talk about it. The 7 different types of NPCs, of
Uh-oh.
which there theoretically are a little like
Is this like the
list of,
hero archetypes?
I think, but like NPC archetypes.
Yeah. Oh,
um,
okay. I need to
and
know
then
these. I
I
have
need
follow-up
this.
questions. I have follow-up
Um,
questions.
and then the last but not least is 6. Question number 6: combat. Anticipate what the bad guys may do if this and if that kind of statements. Think of actions, spells, etc. What would the creature do? Would they fight to the death? Would they retreat? Do you have an option for parlay? And it's basically like a little space where I can brainstorm the combat encounter.
Hmm.
And I usually fill out that sheet on Thursday nights on my little laptop stand that I've turned into a lap desk with all of my little books on my book light while my fiance's watching TV.
Nice. That's the
Yes,
living room station.
correct.
Hmm.
On my
I have one
sectional
of
in the
those.
nest.
I have one of those. My husband's like, there is paint on the ottoman, and I'm like, I know.
Hello, sorry, I love you,
I
honey.
paint my minis right here.
Oh, that's right here. I
Paint
will
on everything.
post this little 6 questionnaire into our now brand new group chat.
Yeah,
Um,
that'd be great.
So
yeah,
I,
and I
I
guess
think I
you
had
can find the
drafted that
7
for Julie
NPCs.
when we were getting towards
I
the
know I use
tail
it
end
religiously.
of Minds of Fandelver, and she wasn't doing any prep. Like, why aren't you doing any prep? Like, what's going on? So, with further conversation and involving another one of her players in that, we got to the root of the problem as to why she wasn't prepping, and it really came down to time. So,
Yeah.
but
For family balance.
Hmm.
being that she was still kind of new, especially for like a campaign aspect, she was just running some one shots, which prepping for a one shot is different than prepping for your weekly campaign game.
Oh my
Yeah, you just
God,
Um,
yeah.
so
you read
she
the one chat. That's it.
she didn't really know where to
I
go with
build
it.
the
So
environment and let them
that's why
play.
I kind of came up with that for her.
I like it.
That's why I say that, like, the people who are legitimate storytellers who can enthrall a
Homebrew an
group of
entire
players
campaign? It's
and
crazy.
then do theater of the mind for most of it with just a few references. Like, I fully admit my terrain is a crutch. A
I have a player
crutch. I
who
am
is really bad at
leaning on
leaning
it.
things.
But
Leaning.
it lets me know, like, I don't have
Where are you?
to visualize it. I can just
Yeah.
explain what's in front of them. It's a little bit cheating.
Well, yeah,
I like it
but
for
you know what
combat
though, like
purposes.
I agree with that, Erica. Like it does cheating in the sense that it makes it easy. Like I don't have to describe everything to you
Yeah.
because I'm showing you, right? But that goes back to
Hmm.
the old adage of a pitch is worth 1,000 words, and it really is. Because I was thinking about this just the other day in this context, right? I'm sitting in my living room. I look over whatever door frame I'm looking at. I'm like, for me to really describe that in detail enough so you in your mind see the exact same thing that I'm actually seeing,
It's hard.
that's a lot. Because
Yeah.
And it's not everybody can see it.
well, that's what I'm saying. So that would take an awful lot of words to paint it, to paint that picture so intricately that you see the exact thing that I see, right? But
That's a big
to
challenge that
take a
we
picture
have.
or have the
Yeah.
physical
As
terrain thing,
DMs.
it makes it so much easier. But I do like that though about D&D, about role playing games. That, and I've said this to Julie before, one of the greatest joys I get is as the DM is when I take a step back and I listen to the players talk about it.
Recap.
Right?
Yeah.
They either
Or
the
memories.
following week they're talking about what they're going to do, or they're talking about last week's session, right? And the
Yes.
joy I get from that is because they're describing
Inside
whatever
jokes.
incident it was, whatever encounter it was, whatever thing they interacted with the way that they created it in their mind, the way that they saw it. And that may not
Hmm.
be exactly what I had envisioned, or the same thing that he had envisioned. So we're all playing the same game, but in a sense, we're
Ah, it's
all
like a metaphor
playing
for life.
5 different games. You know,
Yeah.
I think that's great. I think that's great. So, in a sense, like I don't want to paint too much of a picture. I want to try to give you enough flavor, as Julie likes to say, um, to create enough of an image in your mind that
Don't over season.
It's
then
like reading a
you can
book
then run
versus
with it.
watching the movie,
Correct.
right?
Or
Like,
Yes.
if
or
you're
even a
reading the book,
comic book.
yeah,
Reading a book
like,
versus reading a
yes,
comic book are
I
even
think that is
different.
yes,
actually
enough of a
perfect, Julie.
visual.
That is perfect.
Yeah.
Hmm.
True theater of the mind does not use any sort of terrain or minis or anything, right? True theater of the mind.
Book
Agreed.
There
without
is
picture.
zero visual. Zero.
Hmm.
So from one extreme to the other extreme is using heavy terrain with little verbal or oral descriptors, and you're relying on that
Hmm.
terrain. And we start physically moving our stuff around. We start playing this little board game in the middle of our role playing game.
Hero escape.
And I think the comic book is the
Which I
happy
love.
medium where we all need that I would strive to be. So there's
I
a
agree.
little bit of a blend, okay? But you have to find that balance. And whatever I don't have here physically, I need to really articulate that. And there's a lot that you're not going to have physically to describe what the cave opening looks like, what the sides of the walls feel like, what the players or what the characters smell and just sense. I can't provide that even in a 3D
It's all
environment
for them.
at the table, right? Certainly not in an
So I
online game.
fully, fully confess, I am so scared of the cruise, not because of performing or anything like that.
No minis.
I can only bring like a suitcase. You should
A
see me when I
suitcase.
show up to one of my events. It takes me like 4 or 5 trips to my car just to get everything.
Yeah, you should see mine's
How
bad
am
But,
too.
but hang,
I
hang on.
going
Why
to
can you only
do
bring one
this?
suitcase? Is my question. A cruise allows you to bring a
Okay,
lot, multiple bags.
fine. Let's say I can bring 2 or 3. We'll be a reasonable human, right? It's only a 4 day cruise.
Full
But
of
my
terrain.
challenge is going to be turning down my actual terrain setup and improving on my storytelling, right? How to do a better job as a DM without my players losing the quality of the game that I'm bringing.
I just
That's
do
that's
terrain and minis for combat. That's the only time I ever use it. I wish I
Do
didn't,
you
and I
use
wish,
like 3D printed minis? Do you use flat
yes,
minis? What do you use?
3D print. I have 3D printed minis.
3D printed minis?
Um,
I
yeah,
use
yeah,
I
yeah.
use
So I have
flat.
3D printed minis, and I have
Flat screen
a
minis?
expo board map, and I
Yep.
put my minis on top of my export board map. Sometimes I just draw a map on the expo board, and my players just use the minis inside the map, and it's not pretty at all. But it's that's usually for strictly combat. Everything
So,
else is because I have the flavor in the book. I usually just read the really pretty flavor that
read it.
someone else did, and then I really hype up my acting skills. I really dig into the acting because we're in such a
Yes.
heavy social role right now.
So
But
it's what sparked me to be more improvisational and to work on that acting and become more familiar with whatever my prep was when I started my Tuesday night game. One of the gentlemen who's playing, Caleb, at first his wife was playing as well. Okay, and they were coming off this other group, a 5e group, yada yada yada, or they left it, it fell apart, whatever it was. So I asked the question, like, what happened? Why? What about it that you liked? What about it didn't you like? And she said, one of the things I don't like that bothers me as a player is when the DM just goes and just reads the script. I was like, okay.
Mm.
I was like, okay. Well, I mean,
Hmm.
every now and then there is a time for that, right?
I like the flavor
Okay,
descriptors.
but
I like the
Hmm.
season.
so I said, all right, Erica,
I
I'll do my best, right? So in my prep, like I had the introduction to the module. I said, all right. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to have it on this screen over here, and I'm going to talk to her over there, and I want to put my eyes right in the
Teleprompter.
middle. And I've read it enough that I don't have to read it word for word, right? Like I studied
name
my
drop a
lines,
little.
so to speak, right? And
Hmm.
if
Hmm.
I left out a little bit here, a little bit there, that's okay. I'm going to embellish here and there a little bit.
Yeah.
So and that kind of started me to be more open to just not reading the script and actually getting into the more narrative side of the game versus just the raw mechanics as most familiar with as a 1E player when I was a kid, right? I didn't have to worry about describing anything. My DM did that, right? Well, now the roles have changed and I'm the DM, and that burden is on my shoulders to provide that descriptor. And my in-person game on Friday, I only have one guy who's played like 1E before, so he's about my age, so he knows how like 1E in a true traditional classic sense was played.
Is a war
You
game.
read a little description, that's your room. All right, guys, what do you do?
Go!
And then right, go, right, and then you roll your dice. I do this, I move here.
Beat
And
shit
it
up!
wasn't about the story, it wasn't about creating the immersive
No.
experience and all this flavor. No, you created
Beat
that.
shit up!
You as the player, you just created that in your mind yourself. The room's this big, it has this kind of wall, go. And it really was more of a tactical type game and not really about a story. And there was
So the
no
question,
overall story arc going from module to module to module to module. No, you played one module. When you were done, you were done. Move your character to the next module.
so the question I have then, since this is going to be my new task, I'm writing the one-shot modules for the cons, that is one, we're given a template, right? For those who don't know, you're given a like an adventure league or a log template that is already in existence. It's been approved upon, it's been approved by Wizards of the Coast, all that good stuff. And there are certain things you have to stick to, and one of them is description boxes. Those description boxes are already in there. They're paced throughout. You have to write them, you know? That's part of what the writer has to add. What kind of information as a DM do you like to have in those descriptive boxes, and what do you think is too much?
Well, I
Right.
think I
What
can't
is
I can't give
over
a
seasoning?
yeah, I can't give a flat answer for that, Erica, because it depends upon what the situation is and what the room is or what it is you're trying to work with. So if you're trying to provide an introduction to the one shot, then obviously that's going to be a longer text box, right, to read
Right.
versus working on the room. But you got to cover your senses, right? What can they see? What can
Yep.
they taste? What can they smell? What can they feel? Um, to an extent, there's an asterisk on that. Okay, what can they and what can they hear? You know, what can they smell? Yeah, you can describe that to them. What can they taste? Well, if they put it in their mouth, if they don't put it in their mouth, they don't taste it unless it's just that heavy in the air or something, right? What can they feel? It depends if they feel it. So, you know, you can provide a little bit, but you don't want to provide too much because then it's going to take away from them for them to explore, and
Mm-hmm.
your description is going to steal their exploration because you've told them everything already. Okay,
Mm.
so like one of the things
Mm-hmm.
that I squawked at Julie at in Minds of Fandelver, you know, she say, okay, you're in the room and and in the, and there's a chest over there, and in the chest is this. I'm like, Julie, no one said they opened the damn
Well,
chest. How do they know what's in it? I'm like, what are you doing?
I've
Why are you
stopped
telling
doing
them
that.
that? You know?
I've stopped that. I haven't done it. I've
So
stopped
oh
doing it.
so
no.
I'm using that. I'm not
I've
using it
stopped.
as an example to chastise Julie, but as an example of like, you know, going a
Okay.
little too far.
So what's an
I didn't
example
know.
of that test situation that would work? And this was going to be my follow-up question anyway, so I'm really glad you used it as an example.
Okay.
When you are trying to draw attention to an object in a room without handing the instructions to your players, like this chest is important, but you want them to know there is a chest in the room. You don't want to tell them necessarily what's in it, right? Like
Over
that's a little
describe it. Yeah,
much.
Right.
you over
But
describe it.
how do you describe a room that has something special in it?
Okay.
A large wrought
So
iron chest
Julie and
with
I
beautifully intricate bars
J-
attached to each side.
Julie and I will put
And
our
then,
2 cents in on
Hmm.
that, but
Yeah, no,
I'm gonna put a
this is
pin in this
serious.
for a moment because we're at our 1 hour mark. So
oh yo,
so I'm gonna stop this video on a cliffhanger,
dun dun
and we'll
dun.
wrap up this episode of Roll for Mastery. We will continue with our recording and record our next episode most immediately. But for the moment, we're going to stop recording here for episode number unknown on Roll for Mastery with our guests DM Erika Martin, who does all kinds of publishing and content creation more than what she kind of leads on. So, and I'll put a link to
You
her
don't have a line.
website and whatever other links she wants to provide for me, I will put in there for the 10 people who
Socials
are going to view this and might be interested in learning more about
Yay.
Erica and her doings, especially that cruise. The cruise is pretty
going
cool.
on their cruise. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe one of our players will
Um,
go on your
all
cruise.
right. So that's all I
Oh,
got.
I
So I'm
love
going to
that.
stop recording. You all peace out. Have a good night. Have a good week. We'll see you next time.
Deuces.